I think in the last few months I've all but completely lost sight of my goal and what I want to do with this channel. Especially in the last few weeks, I've been a little on the extra critical and pessimistic side, and it's not right. That doesn't mean I don't stand by the things I've said. I still do, but this is the wrong atmosphere. These aren't the kinds of videos I want to put on my channel. I've always been a cynical, overly critical, and perhaps a bit too harsh of a personality at times, but I try to keep a level head and remain constructive when I can. But this year in particular has just worn me down, and I'm strictly talking about video games, mind you. The first few months were great, but as the year wore on, I found myself pretty much done with the video game industry in general. I find myself hard-pressed to get excited about anything now. For example, Cuphead, a game I was genuinely hyped for from the get-go, and even having seen its incredibly successful release and critical acclaim, I just don't have the mood in me to bother with it anymore. And I'm sure I'm missing out on it, at least for the time being, but man, video games got sad. Whether it's For Honor being yet another insanely smart and exciting concept of a game being dragged down by Ubisoft's inability to escape mediocrity, or Middle-earth's Shadow of War being the sequel to one of my favorite open world games ever, and then held back by Warner Brothers' absolute contempt for every customer it has. And of course, there's also Star Wars Battlefront 2, a game finally ready to make good on the promise of being a proper successor to the franchise I loved as a teenager, kicking itself in the teeth by introducing pay-to-win elements. And yes, I know it's not completely out yet, and they're changing some things, but it's still completely soured the taste, and I was already plenty distrustful after the first game. And then, of course, there's Destiny 2, the sequel to one of my all-time favorite games, completely ditching most of the elements that made the first game stick with me for so long. There are other games I could talk about, but so as not to make this video controversial, let's just say, yeah, there's not too much I've looked back on this year with any kind of fondness. That said, that isn't the point. That's never what I've set out to do. Aside from a Sonic 06 LP and a Star Fox Adventure stream, both of which I've never finished, I've never started up a series with any sort of ill will or contempt going in. Historically, if I don't like something and can't praise it or spin it into something positive, I typically cut it short, or leave it off the channel entirely. I've said many times this is a channel about how good video games can be and are, about the fun and the memories, and my attempts to put all those things together and explain how and why I love all these games. And I want to continue to do that. This year's just left a really bitter taste in my mouth, I suppose, and I apologize. Even though I plan to move away from Let's Plays as the sole focus of this channel, I'll try to keep things as constructive and uplifting as I possibly can. That's not to say there won't be negativity or even moments of salt, for crying out loud, but as long as it's for the sake of humor. But nothing like this video.